Well, if you're just waking up with us, we have been on early. This is a special edition of American Morning. We're following the latest right now out of Japan, where an 8.9 magnitude quake struck a little before 3 p.m. local time. It happened just before 1 a.m. here on the East Coast, and the epicenter was in the sea, about 230 miles from Tokyo. The quake rattled homes and businesses, caused many to collapse, and cars literally toppled off of bridges. Millions of people are still without power, and there are reports of casualties. But according to our Kyung La, for the most part, the infrastructure of Tokyo did make it through this. Obviously, they still have a lot of cleanup and they have a lot to deal with. But again, the bigger disaster was triggered by the tsunami, this wall of water having a devastating impact along the northeast coastline. The waves, as you can see, moving so rapidly, racing across farmland. This is to the north and east of Tokyo, several miles inland, just washing away everything in its path. Homes, cars, trucks, and unfortunately people. We are going to be finding out more about the number of dead. Right now there is an active rescue operation underway to try to save people. The confirmed number of dead at 32, but officials expect that to rise. Tsunami warnings are up in at least Hawaii and the U.S. coastline, stretching from the California-Mexico border all the way up to Alaska. Back in Japan near Tokyo, there are incredible pictures of some of the disastrous effects of this earthquake, including this oil refinery burning out of control. Japan also shutting down some of its nuclear power plants. We also had a chance to hear from is not as strong as they've told people in that right now that there are no of any radioactive.
An effort underway to try to save as many people right now as they can. This nation was hit by an 8.9 magnitude earthquake. It was just off the coast, about 80 miles. The rescue is underway right now, but the hospitals are being overwhelmed. Elementary schools are serving as little refuge centers right now. Those are already full. Take a look at some of the pictures here. This is the shaking. Look at this. This is the power of this earthquake. Again, this thing was about 230 miles. The epicenter was away from Tokyo, but they felt it. We've had reports that people thought the shaking went on for up to 2 minutes. Many buildings were damaged, some destroyed as well. Cars knocked off bridges. Japan's news agency reporting that more than 50 people now have been killed, dozens injured, fires burning at more than 80 locations. Again, that number 50, many people do expect that to rise and rise dramatically, that death toll. Now, the other part of this disaster, that was the initial disaster, that huge quake. It triggered a massive tsunami. It's a wall of water. It's having a devastating impact right now along the northeast coastline. The waves, some reports say they are as high as 30 feet. Racing across farmland that is several miles inland, washing away homes, cars, trucks, boats, people, anything in its path. Now, tsunami warnings extend to Hawaii as well as the west coast of the United States. We're 7:30 Eastern time here. We're expecting in the next 30 minutes. That's when they predicted the first waves would make their way over to Hawaii. They are on standby there. They've had sirens going off, and they are prepared. Meanwhile, back in Tokyo, the city right now, according to our Kyung La, who's reporting there, she felt this earthquake. She's felt plenty. She said this one certainly was different, but the train services are shut down. The city itself of 13 million people. She said it's eerie to see Tokyo essentially come to a halt. Reports as well that Tokyo's main international airport canceled all flights for the rest of the day. This is the main airport we're seeing here, but this is another airport here. And again, our Kyung La has been reporting all morning. Most of the infrastructure, though, they do a lot. They get a lot of earthquakes there in Japan, so they know how to deal. But the infrastructure, for the most part, in Tokyo is okay.
Right, and so that is not in the Tokyo area. That's northeast, right? That's the other airport that we were talking about, where they are going to need a lot of help, obviously. This earthquake also impacting markets across the globe as other countries react. Christine Romans is following that portion of it for us as well.
Well, the Nikkei, which is the stock index in Japan, was only open for a short time after the earthquake struck, and it fell immediately and is continuing to fall in futures trading. There you can see what it looked like after the earthquake, and we have stock markets around the world expected to be lower. They have been lower heading into this earthquake, but now expected to be. Why? Well, because look, this is the third largest economy in the world, a $5.5 trillion economy. There are high-tech factories that will be shut down for sure. There are oil refineries that have been shut down, one on fire right now. Massive export infrastructure that is basically paralyzed right now. When you have the third largest economy in the world paralyzed in dealing with a natural disaster like this, that dampens world demand for oil. Oil prices, folks, have fallen below $100 a barrel. The entire focus moving away from the Mideast and now looking at this particular natural disaster here. Again, we're talking about the airports. Narita International canceling all flights. There are some other airports that are still open, but if you are an international traveler, this is going to have ripple effects around the world for all of the connections in the major ports. Barbara Starr was reporting that, in fact, some U.S. commercial flights were going to be allowed to land at U.S. military facilities there, trying to literally land the planes because this happened just a few hours ago, really, and so it has disrupted international air travel as well.
Right, if you were already en route and in the air,
right.
you have to end up somewhere.
That's absolutely right. So watching oil fall, watching stocks fall, we'll continue to watch the impact here, but there's very, very heavy futures trading, and what that means is this will be an international event that will drive the markets today.
Right. I'm just wondering if once they start to realize that, I mean, as Kyung-La said to us, the basic infrastructure of